Hello everybody! It's time for my weekly vlog, the one that I do on Sundays. Today is Thursday. I've I've had kind of a rough week, so it took me a long time to get around to doing it properly, because bad things kept happening, and then I'm like, this is my weekly vlog! Life sucks! So after I'd finish the video, I'd go back and I'd be like, that's not a good video. So now I have something good to talk about, so I'm just going to gloss over the bad parts and jump to the happy parts, which was today. So, we were trying to buy a car. Okay. So, my buddy Phil had a car, and he offered it to us for a reasonable amount of money. A very reasonable amount of money, and he said he was willing to work with us. And then he brought the car down here. He couldn't keep it at his place, so he put it at our place. We said that was fine. And on Monday, we did the paperwork. We gave him a check, and then there was a problem. You see, it wouldn't have been a good, unhappy story if it was just us buying a car. So the paperwork had not been done correctly, and the notary didn't tell us it was wrong. See, the notary wasn't even supposed to notarize it. She was supposed to say, this is wrong, do it right. So the notary stamped it. We thought everything was good. We went to go do more paperwork with it because, God, it's so bad. And then we couldn't buy the car. And so because we couldn't get the car, then the deal went really, really sour. People were really unhappy with each other, and ultimately we ended up not buying the car. But the upshot of that is that now we have extra money that we had been budgeting for the car that we no longer have to use for the car. Also, our other car broke down from overheating, but we found out that the problem was a loose hose, and now the air conditioning works. So that was kind of also sort of backwards good, even if it did cost money. But now the air conditioning works, and we're all much happier, especially on hot days. 2.5 minutes in, and I'm not to the good part yet. Okay, so while all of this stuff is going on, I got a message from Jesse's wife, Amy. This is different from my Amy who hosted me when I went to Jesse's wedding. So, I'm sorry, but I didn't name them. So, I guess we could call her Christian Amy because, well, they're both Christian, but this one's more, she's more religious. I mean, Jesse's the guy that I call the way that Christians ought to be, and now he's married his another woman who appears to be a very good person. I've not had a lot of personal interaction with her yet, so I've not gotten on her nerves very much yet. And she's also not encountered my kind of whatever views on religion. So anyway, let's let's make sure that we're friends before I say too much about her. But where was I going with this? Okay. So Amy said, I want you to come to Jesse's party, and I really would like for it to be a surprise, because I want it to be a surprise party where his friends show up, and we're just there, and it's, yay, surprise party! So, she says, he and I are going to Golden Corral on Friday, and I want you to be there. And I said, okay, I think I can make arrangements so I can go on Friday. By then, all of this other stuff should be done, everything should be good, and I can just go one way or another. This was back when we were still trying to buy the car, and it's like, yeah, I'll either have a car to drive or I'll be able to be dropped off or something. Something will work out. So, we go back and forth, and I send Sean and his wife Danielle a message, and I'm, hey, there's this party on Friday, and I know you two are going to it, so tell me if you can give me a ride. And in my message I even sent to Danielle, I was writing originally to Sean, and I said, oh, I should add Danielle because I don't want to just leave her out. I've known several people who are like, oh, people are always talking to the husband and never to the wife. Actually, it was my ex-girlfriend who complained about how the women never get talked to. But anyway, side point, unrelated. So I sent them both a message, and And I said, hey, Sean, I put in parentheses after it, and Danielle, who I think checks Facebook more often. Party on Friday. I want to go. Who can give me a ride? So today, Sean pops up, and he says, hey, the party's tonight. Not Friday, Thursday. I said, are you sure? And so I went back and forth, and I'm like, his wife says Friday. Sean says Thursday. Who am I going to trust? The wife or the friend? So I said, I'm going to trust the wife, but I'm going to send her a message and say I'm confused and get clarity. She sends me back, it's today, Thursday. She sent me the wrong day. So I'm like, oh no! Got to figure out how to get there. So I say, I think I can go. So I try real hard to make sure that the house is a wonderful place when my mother gets home, so she'll be sympathetic to my desire to go out and do something. So I wash a bunch of dishes, even though she says, don't wash the dishes because you don't wash them right. Although whenever she comes home and the dishes are in the sink, she still says, wash the dishes, they're all dirty. Why is every dish in the house dirty? So I washed some dishes, and as my older brother noted, it is an improvement even if the dishes are not as clean as someone might want them to be. They're cleaner than they were sitting in the sink with food on them. Unrelated. And when it was like 3:40, I said, hey, Mom said she wanted soup for dinner. Is the soup going to be warm for her? And George said, oh, I should put that on. And then what happened? Then I was just doing everything I could to try to make this place nice. When she gets home, I'm like, how's your day? Was today a good day? Everything is good, right? Anyway, her day was good enough, so I got to go. So I was very excited. They dropped me off, and Amy had said she could arrange transportation home. That would not be a problem. So I was there, and I was so happy. I got there like 15 minutes early, and I found out they were going to be 5 minutes late, and I'm like, okay, well, I can just keep waiting. I'm hungry, but I'll be fine. So I waited, and I kind of chilled out for a little while, and then they showed up. Everything was good. I got to catch up with Sean, got to catch up with Danielle. I like Sean, but he and I sometimes don't have as much in common as I wish we did. Because it's like, hey, what are you doing? And it's like, I'm working out. Look at my big muscles. And I'm like, hey, I'm eating a lot. Look at my big gut. And so sometimes it can be hard to find common ground, but he's a good guy. And Danielle seems really awesome. She was talking about some Duck Hunt and Mario 3 and all the different stuff today. So she and I might have a lot more in common that we can talk about later sometime. But I get there and they're all awesome people. So we're waiting for Jesse to show up, and Sean says, we should all hide and pop out on him. And so we all go and we hide, and I'm like trying to hide, and it turns out that it's very hard to hide when you're as large as I am, and I have writing on my back. So I'm going to stand out, even if I turn my back to him. And I stand out a lot from the front. So we go, we hide, we pop out, everything's great. And Jesse's like, I've never had anyone surprise me on my birthday before. This is wonderful. So then we all go through line. I go through first because I'm still hungry because I've been waiting all this time. And I get through, I check out, pay for my stuff. They're still in line, so I say, okay, I'm going to go and make sure that we have a table for this party of 5 because the place is packed. This is like the grand opening of this particular location of Golden Corral that we were going to. And I'm like, alright, I want to be sure that we can sit, and I really want to be sure that I get a seat, everything's good. One of the waitresses actually stops me while I'm standing there looking at tables and waiting for people, and I'm like, I've got some friends here, and they're going to come catch up with me, and it's all good. She's like, okay. You're not just a weird guy who's standing there staring at all the customers and being crazy. So, I even saw her later, and it was like, I found my friends, here they are. See, I'm not just crazy man. So I go back and I say I scouted out a table, and I show them the table I found. It's a table that seats 8, but We end up tossing out 2 of the chairs because it doesn't really seat 8. So it seats 6, and we're a party of 5. All good. So I go get a plate full of food, and I keep seeing stuff. I get like halfway down the line before my plate is full, and then like bourbon chicken, Mongolian beef, grab a roll, grab a spring roll, get some pasta, put Alfredo sauce on it, grab some sausage. Plate's full, take it back. So I go back and I sit down, and Jesse says, Conrad, you don't have any vegetables on your plate. And I said, yes I do, there's vegetables in the spring roll. So Sean comes back and Danielle comes back. I take a bite of my spring roll and I point it at him and I say, hey, look at this. Jesse's accusing me of not having any vegetables in my plate. But they're here. You see them, don't you? They thought that was funny. And then I ate most of that. The sausage was kind of so-so. Not that it was bad, but it wasn't my kind of sausage. So I went back and I got more stuff. But I got different stuff. I saw Jesse had some mushrooms, and I'm like, breaded mushrooms? Those look good. So I got breaded mushrooms, and then I saw sauteed mushrooms, so I got those. We'll pretend they're vegetables. And I also got a tiny little piece of battered fish, and as I got it, I thought, there's a domestic abuse joke in here somewhere, and then I thought, oh, that's so horrible. So I left it alone and never made it, except here in my vlog. And I just, went and got a bunch of stuff. I'd seen that Jesse had deviled eggs, so I went up and down the whole length of that buffet trying to find deviled eggs. And I said, where are the deviled eggs? I finally stopped one of the people who's doing stuff. The food people. I don't know what they're called if they're not serving you tea, but staff. And I say, where are the deviled eggs? And she says, they're on the salad bar. So I said, oh, that's why I couldn't find them. I never would have found them there. So I go over to the salad bar and I get a few deviled eggs, like 4, and go back to my seat, and I eat that up, and it was good. Then we got dessert. See, I was going to not get dessert, but if everyone else was doing it, then I didn't feel bad doing it. So then I went to get dessert after I ate that stuff, at least most of it. It turned out that the breaded mushrooms were super spicy, so I ate one. And I was like, yeah, it's not so bad. And Sissy was like, really? And I'm like, no, I'm starting to feel it now. And then I finished eating it, and I swallowed it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm really starting to feel it. And Jessie said, yeah, your eyes are watering. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I can feel it now. I didn't mean that it wasn't spicy, just that I wasn't able to taste it at the time. It's all good. I eventually got over it, and the lady kept bringing me tea. I eventually got her to bring me 2 tea glasses, and the people who know me know that's not the first time I've gotten that done. So, finally, we're going to go get sugared, sweet desserts, and I say to myself, I'm going to get things unlike what I know I'm going to get later, because I know she's made brownies, or I know that Amy, Jesse's wife, has made brownies, and I know that she's going to be serving brownies later with ice cream. So I'm looking for something that's not like ice cream and not like brownie. So of course the first thing I see is a little piece of fudge that I pick up. But then I see carrot cake, and I'm like, I've got to get some carrot cake. But I couldn't get carrot cake with the frosted carrot on it. You know how they draw a picture of a carrot on some of the pieces, but they don't have it on all the pieces? I wanted a piece of cake with carrot on it, even though it's not a real carrot. So I turn the cake, and I managed to get the little thing in, and I take my piece of cake. And then I see they have something called vanilla cake, and I say I don't know what that is, but I want some of it, because I want to know what it is. So I got some of that too, and I put that on top of my carrot cake, which is on top of the fudge. And as I'm looking at my stack of sweets, I think that's probably about all I can eat, even though there's more stuff up here. They had donuts coming off the line, and I probably could have gotten super fat that night. Tonight. I hope this doesn't cut me off at 15 minutes like it used to. And then I go back to my seat and I eat it all. And At some point, somebody makes a comment about how much I eat, and I'm like, yeah, I kind of eat a lot. I'm big. I'm 6'3", although it's hard to tell in this little box. So we finish eating, we go to Jesse's place. We end up splitting up guys and girls. And we say and do a lot of different fun things. We have a little bit of fun with just the guys there. Yeah, just guys. We talk about different stuff. Some stories I probably shouldn't relate in public. They were not about the girls, so you can relax. And then what happened? Oh yeah, then we went back to Jesse's place. Of course, that's what we got in the car to do. So we're at Jesse's place, and Amy says, did you bring any games? Because I think that was the main reason she invited me, was to get me to bring over some games to play. And I said, yes, I did. I didn't bring the big stuff because it's big. I didn't want to have to keep track of it while I was at Golden Corral, and it's also kind of expensive. Like Settlers of Catan in the box is $40, and I also have a 5 and 6 player expansion that's like $20, and then I also have Puerto Rico, which is fun, but it's kind of easy to get bogged down in the rules when you're trying to learn it, so I normally try to reserve that for when I'm playing with someone else who's played before, so that the game flows a little more smoothly. So I'll probably play them at some point. And where are we going and what are we doing with this story? Oh yeah, I was talking about the games I did take. The games I did take were Set and Flux. Set is a visual intelligence game where you're looking for 3 things that are the same or different. And it's the different part that's actually challenging, because that's how most of the combinations happen. But that's what people tend to have trouble seeing, is all the differences. Yeah, just look up Set and look up Flux. I'll throw a link in my bottom part if I remember to. And they're fun. They're great. This is so much longer than I meant it to be. I'm sorry, Danielle. And Sean. And anyway, we played. We had fun. Amy really racked up. And then she was like, I defer my win to Jesse. And it's like, no, Amy, it's okay for you to win. But yeah, I've never been of a mind that the girls can't beat the guys. The girls can totally beat the guys. If the guys don't want to lose, they need to play better. So, then we played Flux. Oh my god. So, we're playing Flux and we go through and we play some stuff. And if you've never played Flux before, it can be kind of a headache. But if you take it just one play at a time, you can get through it. It's after you've played it several times and you have a feel for how the game plays that you start being able to think ahead and strategize and say, okay, I'm going to BAM! Win the game next turn, and nobody's going to see it coming. And then the person ahead of you wins the game and you're like, darn it, I had it on the next turn. But we're not talking about me right now. We're talking about, we had fun, she played some crazy stuff, and then we all groaned about it for a little while. Somebody played my favorite card, X equals X plus 1. Yay! And that was what pulled us out of the headache and monstrosity. Anyone who's played that, you can feel free to laugh at how X equals X plus 1 made everything better. So, then we finished that up. We considered playing again, but decided not to because people were starting to get tired. Oh yeah, and they had me tell stories. I didn't think my stories were that interesting because they're kind of rambling and I don't get anywhere. They all laughed when I said something about Mexican food, and they were like, and I said, but that's a story for another time, and they're like, ha 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 ha, and I'm like, I don't see why it's funny. I get it now though, because I ramble a lot. So, then they gave me brownie and I came home. And I talked all the way home, and that was fun too. And Jesse, my long-suffering friend, dropped me off, and I gave him more or less directions on how to get home. All you really have to do is go down the whatever thing, place, stuff, and then you make a few turns and you're there. So yeah, my exact location is still undisclosed. It's been about 20 minutes, so I think that's everything. I came home, I made my vlog. Here you go, Danielle. Here's a shout out. And Sean also, because I really don't want you to get mad at me for paying more attention to your wife than I'm paying to you. Because, did I mention he's kind of big? Okay. So, I wouldn't want to make him jealous. Anyway, that's everything for tonight. I had a wonderful time at Jesse's party. And I had a wonderful time hanging out with friends. We had good fun playing games, and I look forward to being able to play games with them again. If I can, I'm going to invite a friend who I know who may or may not be interested in coming, but I'm going to invite her anyway. We'll see how that works out.